Hello, hello. Welcome. Welcome to our live class. Just for anyone who hasn't been around for these classes or other classes, I do have a welcome chat. So hello. We'll just be chatting and getting ready for class for about the next half an hour, 25 minutes so. So if you are watching the replay, you can skip this if you would like to. I will be putting timestamps below for you all, so you can just kind of skip ahead. But otherwise, say hi if you're in the chat. Hello. Hi, Carrie and Silva, Beverly. Hi, Micah, Jennifer, Ashley, Morgan. Hi, guys. And gals, just everyone. I'm excited for this class. So, for those of you who don't know or haven't really been following, this is one of the, it's one of the first. I've done it before, and I do it in my Patron all the time, but this is one of the first live classes that we're painting from a picture. And I know sometimes that's really scary. It can be scary if you've never done it before, but I'll take you step by step and we'll just work through it together. But with that, because I haven't painted this exact thing before, some of the materials or the brushes, I might grab a different brush than what's listed or whatever. So just know that might be a thing. And I forgot a canvas. Let me grab one. I'm just using 11 by 14 canvas today. But yeah, I'm excited. Let me know where you're from. If you're painting with anybody, let's say like a friend, or if you're painting someone, if you're on like Zoom or Facebook Messenger or something like that, and you're painting with somebody else, that's always fun. But yeah, let me know if you guys can hear me and everything. I've suspended my microphone now. So we had an issue last time where it wasn't connecting because I moved it, and I figured out that it pulled out, and so it disconnected but then reconnected. It was weird. But so you should be able to hear me pretty well. Yeah. I am excited to paint. I'm always excited to paint. I like painting. What size canvas do I recommend? I like painting 11 by 14. I feel like it's big enough to gift or to put on your wall, as you can tell, to put on your wall or gift, or even, give to a friend or something like that, or sell. I feel like anything less than that is, it's good for practice. It's good for like kids and things like that. But I use 11 by 14, and then anything bigger, sometimes I have, it just takes a long time, and I don't really have the space for it. So the ones over there, I think they're I think they're 20 by 30 something, I think, something like that. They're pretty big, and I can only fit 2 over there versus the same amount of space at 2, 4, 6, 8. So it really depends on what you want to use. Some people have 8 by 10, 9 by 12. I see some of you are using those. That's totally fine. You can really use whatever you want. My traceables go for a 9 by 12 or 11 by 14. I usually don't do a traceable for a 8 to 10 because it's a little bit smaller. But you could always make the image smaller to fit it there if you're using a traceable. Which, for those of you who don't know, I now provide traceables for all of my live classes inside my Patron. It's a perk of being a patron and supporting the channel. So if you're interested in that, make sure to support the channel and do that. You'll get lots of traceables and quick tips, painting tips. I have extra classes in there that's exclusive to Patreon and not available to YouTube or the public or anything like that. So a lot of fun in there, and we do art challenges and stuff, which is fun, and we get to learn. But Canada. I always have so many people. I have so many people from Canada. Hello, Canadians. Now Alex, you're alone. You're not alone. There are plenty of people here painting with you. Don't feel alone. I'm here with you. What paints do I use? I will be using Hippie Crafter paints today. I got sent, let me get them out for you. So I have to get them out. Anyways, I got sent Hippie Crafters 20 20 acrylic paint set, which I've used it for the last 2 or 3 classes, and I really like them. I don't see any difference in quality to the other stuff that I was using. I enjoy it. So I'll be using, they're either full body or one down from that, but I think they're full body. Like I painted this for my patrons. We did a class last Friday, and I use this. Like the colors are great. Like I have no qualms with them. So yeah, so they sent me that, and I've been using that. I should be getting a review video out soon for that. I just been really busy with my pregnancy, and our bunny died, so then we got new bunnies, and it's been kind of a whirlwind of just things going on in the family. So I haven't really spent much time doing the review yet, but that will be coming out. But yeah, I will be using these colors. I still have to choose exactly what colors I'm using. But when I go over the colors and like the materials that I'm using, like use what you have. Painting is one of those things where it's like, I mean, don't try to do exactly what I'm doing. I'm here to teach you techniques. I'm here to teach you how to essentially think and paint for yourself so that you could come up with your own, you could look at this picture and know how to paint it. When I first started painting from pictures, it was like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, like, you know, but you just do it in layers and you trust the process and you go for it. Hello from Arizona and Florida, North Carolina, Canada, Ohio. Hello, everyone. I'm excited. I'm like talking really fast because I'm excited. Yeah, let me know. Let's see. I feel like we should have like an icebreaker. What should be our icebreaker? Like, how many animals do you have? How many and what animals do you have? We just got 2 baby bunnies, so that's what we have. If we were in a house, we'd probably have like a cat and a dog. For sure, cat and a dog, maybe 2 dogs. But right now we are in a small apartment and we're only allowed to have like small animals, so we have 2 rabbits. Will there still be a recorded version of this after the live session is over? Yes. So the video that you're watching now it's all recorded and saved to my YouTube channel. So if you click subscribe and notifications or whatever, you'll be able to find me later, and you can just watch it whenever you can. You can watch it a year from now. You can watch it after the class is over. 4 ducks. You have ducks? Oh my goodness. That'd be so much fun. Ducks, 2 cats, 7 total. Oh my goodness. 4 dogs, 3 cats. I grew up having we had 3 cats inside, and then we had 1 neighbor cat that adopted us. They had 2 pit bulls that wouldn't let it get to its food, so it just hung out in our backyard all the time. So it was our adopted. We named it and everything and fed it, and we adopted the cat. So yeah, I think we've only had 4 at one time. That's how the cap of how many I've had. 1 doggy named Cammy. Oh, she's flicker. Oh gosh. My almost 2-year-old can't stand the dog. We have a friend. We have a pod of people that we're in, and they have a really very excited dog, and he likes to come up and lick her face, and it's like a boop and then gone, and she cries. It's so sad because I want her to like dogs. animals in general. A yellow lab, a pit bull, chihuahua, and a cat. Aww. Oh, Ashley. Adopted a week ago. How's that going? I'm gonna get my paints out here. Let's see. What to do? We have. Trying to remember. Black, white, yellow. Maybe yellow or vibrant. Yeah, maybe yellow. Hello from North Carolina. Hello. Yeah, anyone who's just joining, I had asked how many animals, if you have any animals, how many animals do you have, and what are they? Those of asking. I'm feeling okay. I hit my 20-week mark of my pregnancy last Wednesday, and we just figured out insurance and everything, so I can finally get some like care and see an OBGYN and everything. So I'm feeling okay. I'm definitely tired and emotional most of the time. I don't want to say all the time because like there's some times I'm like not. Like right now I'm fine. But there's been a lot going on. So when the bunny was dying, I was not emotionally stable at all. But yeah, and generally with the pregnancy, I'm feeling okay. I'm good. Yeah, kind of trugging through. I still don't feel like I've totally caught all my energy back. I still sometimes pass out on the couch in the like midday, or like I can't stay up past like 10, and I'm so tired. And other days I'm fine. I don't know, it's weird. Slowly adjusting. From a hoarding situation. Do we trace first or after the background? Because the background will probably be wet. If you were painting this on your own, I would probably say do the background, let it dry, and then you could paint it. You could draw it on because most of where you're drawing is white. But also, since it is white, even if we go over it with white, you'll still be able to see the pencil mark. So I would just say before. I didn't use the traceable because I'm going to be drawing it for those who didn't want to use the traceable or wanted to learn how to draw it, which is totally fine. Some people are down for drawing and others aren't, and that's why I provide the traceables for those who don't want to draw it or don't want to, go through that. Yeah, so I would say before. I'm gonna do it before, and this part where the main part of this the sunflower is, it's gonna be white. So even if you go over it a little bit with your white background, you'll still be able to see it through it. So it should be fine. Let me go back. Silver dogs, different breeds. Congratulations, thank you. We have 3 ducks, 8 chickens, 2 dogs, and cat. It's like a farm. I love that people have ducks. That's not something that I picture as a pet, I guess. But it definitely is. Chickens I would love to have because then you just get eggs all the time. I would eat eggs all the time. I guess you have to pay for feed and stuff like that, but we're a girl. It's a girl. Her name is Amelia. Amelia Joy. And yeah. I've felt her. I felt her move. I've been feeling her move inside of me, like boop, 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 since probably 16 weeks. But I finally felt her on my hand a day before 20 weeks, and then Mike, my husband, was able to feel her like either last night or the night before, and that was cool. It's always cool when you like makes it more real that like you can feel them. Sorry, I missed it when you said how to see and paint this later. So where you are right now, this stream on my YouTube channel, it's the same link. So if you just copy the link above, like, and you can just paste that later, and you'll be able to watch the video. And you can just kind of scroll ahead and when we start. My friend is Dusk, and so does her brother. Hi, Gloria. Hello. It's good to. I was gonna say it's good to see you, but I can't. It's good to see me. It's good to hear from you. My first time having ducks, and I can't wait till they start laying eggs. Do they to lay eggs to eat them, or to lay eggs to like hatch them? Congratulations on your pregnancy. Thank you, Bridget. Have you started? No, we haven't started painting. Class starts at 4 p.m. PST, so it starts in about 10 minutes, 11-ish minutes. So there's, oh, right there. So we'll start in just about 10 minutes. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know what greens to. So they have for the acrylic paint set that they got me, or that they gave me. There's 3 different greens. One's like a dark teal. Oh, that's really, you can't even. It looks blue on here. It's definitely not. That's so weird. I'm seeing a completely different color. Anyways, it's like a really dark teal that says Viridian. This one says pale green, and this one's emerald green. But like the emerald green looks pale, and this one's like bright green. So I'm gonna use the bright green. I don't have like a. I'm pretty sure I'm out of my like dark green that I usually use, so I'll probably just add. I will add either brown or black to my green to make it darker. If you have a dark green, then just use that. But you gotta use what you have. Eat them when they are. Wait, eat them. They are bigger than chicken eggs. I don't think I've ever had a duck egg. I've had duck. I'm trying to think. I think I've only had chicken eggs. Unless I've had like ostrich egg in some fancy restaurant, which I don't think I have because I don't really go to fancy restaurants. Congratulations on your pregnancy. I was told this morning that I'm going to be an aunt for the 3rd time. Yay, congratulations. Pregnancy is so fun. Yeah, I've never had duck eggs. Does it taste different, or does it taste like chicken? I'm sure this has been asked, but where are the paint colors needed for tonight? Just got on and trying to set up. They are either in the description of the event, the description of this video, or there's a post in the thing. But I'll also be going over them. You pretty much have your black, white, yellow, green, and then other colors you could have on hand to tint things would be like maybe a blue or a brown to tint some of the colors. But yeah, you can if you have like the main. If you have the main colors, you're not unprepared. Don't say that. You are 9 minutes early to class. You're fine. People will come in like 10 minutes after it starts and be like, "What paints are we using?" And I'm like, "Come here on time class." But yeah, I'll still answer their questions. But You're welcome. Okay, Tanya, what are you laughing at? It's me. Oh, okay. Well, whatever. You can laugh at me. That's okay. The taste is a little different, but very good. My niece got me started on them. Tastes almost a little richer. Yeah, bigger yolk. I watched somebody crack up an ostrich egg, and it was like this big. I'm like, can you imagine cracking open? Got on my egg for the day. Giant. If I wasn't able to get the trace tool, are you going to show us how to draw? Yeah, I'll be going over basic shapes of how to draw it. I mean, it's pretty simple. And because because it is like a nature thing, it's a flower, there's trees, it's not necessarily like, it's okay if it doesn't look like the picture, or I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to look like the picture because it's very, very, very hard to replicate a picture perfectly. And anything, like, why would you want to? You know, we're using the picture as inspiration for a painting, and taking elements that you like about it, whether it's, you know, the bright colors or the shapes or whatever, and you're putting that into your picture. So I would highly recommend not trying to do, you know, paint exactly what I'm painting or paint exactly, you know, the picture or whatever. But yeah, so I'll be going over just basic shapes and in drawing everything and stuff. But yeah, but if you are interested in a traceable, if you've never, if you didn't know that I have that available, it's available to all patrons. And there's other perks in there like quick tips and other classes that aren't available anywhere else, and things like that. And we have a lot of fun in there. Yeah, I can actually post. But yeah, so there's that. Here's my Patreon for anyone wanting that information. If you've just joined, you just have to scroll down a little bit, or you can click on the traceables, and it'll take you to all of the live class traceables that I have, and probably some of the other classes too. Because I don't provide traceables for all of my exclusive classes, because a lot of my Patreon, it really is more of trying to learn, and so I do a lot more like teaching theoretically, but I do provide traceables for some of the classes. So like the mountains, because that's like more nature, I didn't really provide a traceable for that, but that one's really easy. It's just like mountain ranges, but for some of the other ones I do. Is raw umber a brown? Yes, raw umber is a brown. There's raw umber, burnt sienna. These guys just don't know how to cook their acrylics. It's all raw or burnt. Yes, raw umber is brown. I tend to like the raw umber because it's, I don't know, it's dark. I do have a burnt sienna in here, but I'm not using that for today because all the colors are very dark in the background. Oh, and another thing, let's see. If you have any of these, if you remember, I used these for the Christmas one, the Christmas snowman one. These are really handy. I'll probably just use this one. They're really handy to make like background light. You know how they have like those circles and like background, just kind of like what the camera does. You can use this to add like that type of texture. It's called a sponge dauber. I didn't put it on the list because it's not like required that you have it or whatever. But if you do have it, it can be helpful. Is this class recorded? Yes, all my live classes are recorded. Raw umber. Yeah, I'll be using. And the only reason I'm using raw umber is to darken up my green because this is the only green that I have. I mean, I technically have this other bright green that's literally the same color. So, yeah, I'll be darkening my green with my brown and black, and blue probably. Green, and actually I might do phthalo blue. Phthalo blue is a really nice, pretty dark blue, and that mixed with that bright green can produce a really rich, like, foresty green. That might be pretty. So I'll be playing around with some colors because I don't have a dark green. But if you have a dark green, then add some black to it, and we'll do those dark colors. 3 minutes. What's in the meantime, what's your favorite flower? I usually don't know if I have a favorite flower. I like all flowers. I think daisies are nice because they're simple. If it's in a garden, I really like pansies and like, I don't know what they're called. It's not baby's breath, but it's like the white little flowers that like kind of fill in areas. I always think that those are really pretty. I'm guessing a lot of people are gonna have sunflower as their favorite. Favorite flower is sunflowers and daisies. I think daisies are pretty. There's like one up there. There's a daisy. I think they're just so simple. It's pretty. I like all flowers, honestly. And tulips. We painted tulips 2 months ago. Hydrangeas. I think it depends on like if we're talking about in a garden or if we're talking about like in my house in a vase. If that makes sense. I feel like there has to be that distinction because I grew up with like rose bushes that were just like super pretty. But like roses in the house, while they are pretty, they like die really fast. I guess all flowers kind of die really fast in the house, but not all flowers. I do like sunflowers, but they're not really like a pick flower in the house. Balloon flower? What is a balloon flower? I'll have to look that up later because I only have 20 seconds, or I would do it now. Daffodils. I forget about daffodils. Daffodils are pretty. Y'all ready to paint? You got everything ready? Got all your stuff out? All your paints and random supplies? Okay. Let's get going. Hi everyone! Welcome to another class. For those of you who weren't with us for the live chat, we were just chatting about what your favorite flower was, and there's so many good flowers. I love flowers. But I'm really excited to paint today. So if you are just joining us, leave a comment below. Let me know where you're from, who you're painting with, and what your favorite flower is. Let's see. Hello, Linda. Hi, everyone. Poppies. Ooh, poppies are pretty. Yeah, and let's get started. So we're gonna go ahead and go over the supplies real fast, and then once we do that, we will. I have some announcements and just like what's coming up. And then I also have the Patreon giveaway. So if you are a patron, as of right now, you'll be entered into just a little giveaway that I do for everybody who supports me. And it's really just to thank you guys even more than I'm already thankful, but just to give a little gift. So let's go ahead and go over the supplies. Actually, where's my phone? Here's my phone. Where did I put it? On top? It disappeared. That's okay. I guess I'll just look for it later. I was just going to look something up, but I can do it later. Okay, so materials for today. I'm using a 11 by 14 canvas. You do not have to use this size canvas. I would say try not to use anything that's larger than a 11 by 14 canvas because unless you're very fast at painting, because it does take a lot longer and it takes more supplies. So just keep that in mind, at least if you're painting with us live. So I have an 11 by 14 canvas, and then for my colors, I will be using black, white, green, and yellow. Those are pretty much the main colors that we'll be using. If you don't have a dark green that you want to use, that you can use for shading and things like that for the background, I would suggest having a dark brown and or dark blue on hand so that you can play with those colors and mix it into your green. And that's what I'll be doing. But if you have a really dark green, then that's totally fine. You can use that. You can mix some black in there, and that's totally fine. Hi Mary, hi Carrie, and Scarlett, and Rebecca. Hi guys. Hello. Yeah, so those are the colors that we're using. The brand that I'm using, I'm just using full body acrylics. The brand that I'm using is Hippie Crafter. They sent me a 20 acrylic paint set. So I'm trying them out. I'm doing a review. I've done them so far for 2 or 3 classes, and I love them. I haven't had any troubles blending or anything like that that I've had with other brands, so I really like it. Sorry, there's like a trash truck outside. I don't know if you can hear that. Oh no, it's not a trash truck. It's we live right next to a fire station, so sometimes you can hear them. And then I'm gonna close this. Okay, and then obviously your water and some paper towels. The brush kit I have, I will be using that. It comes with just a ton of different brushes, and I will be using from that kit. For the background, I tend to use the filbert, the large filbert that comes in that. I like having the filberts rather than a flat brush because I feel like it blends better and you have less lines. But honestly, use what you have. You can use. I used this actually specific one, so that's why it's kind of frayed. I used that one for the longest time, and it's fine. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions so far? I think that's it. Oh, and then of course a palette. I am using my ceramic tile for my palette, but you can use whatever you want. We're not doing palette knife painting. Actually, technically you could. If you're wanting to do palette knife painting, you could absolutely do the palette knife on like all of the petals if you wanted to do that. But I'm not teaching that for today, although I wish I was because I love using palette knives. But in the kit, it does come with a palette knife and a sponge. Which for sponging, if you wanted to use a sponge for some of the blending in the background, you could do that. I'm not going to do that this time. But if you wanted to, you can. Do what you want. Or if you have another technique that you want to try, go for it. I think those are all of the supplies. Yeah, I'm sorry for this. I'm sorry for the subtitles. It doesn't seem like they are working very well. There was the last 3 or 4 classes I've had people ask if there was captioning, and unfortunately I could not figure out how to turn it on. So I am trying a new program. I am trying to have captions just auto-generate, and sometimes it doesn't always work totally, but hopefully it does at least a little bit for those who are audio impaired or just want to read it instead of watch it, which I know is a thing. Let's see. Okay, so are we ready to start? We all good? I'm going to go ahead and get my paints out. Oh, actually, I have a couple announcements. Just some announcements. For the first one in my Patreon, we did this class on Friday, so that was a lot of fun. I can put it here so you can see it. We did Mountains, Galaxy. It was a lot of fun. So if you are a Patreon, if you're a patron of mine, at least $7 and above, you can head on over and do that class. And yeah, you also get all the traceables and everything like that. That's all included as a patron. My next live class is a butterfly, so I'm really excited for that. I wanted to name it Butter Garden or Garden Butterfly, but pretty butterfly tends to gain more attention. So, but it is a pretty garden butterfly. So if you haven't seen that, there is a video scheduled on my YouTube, so you can always just go there and set a reminder, and then there's also a Facebook event for it. So if you want links to anything, most of those links are in the link tree / SamanthaAndersonArtist right next to me. Most of those links are you can find through there. So my YouTube, my Facebook, my Instagram, Patreon, anything like that. It's all there. And then the one after that, I haven't put it up, but it's going to be a bird. So stay tuned for that if you like birds. And then I think that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and do our Patreon giveaway real quick. Let's see. Let me just grab it here real fast. Getting all the names. Okay, can you hear me? Alright, so I'm just going to spin this. It's going to give me a name. And Christina Rains. Alright, congratulations, Christina. You are going to get this, it's an acrylic pad. It's the one that I use. And yeah, it's the one that I use. I think it's got like 24 sheets on it. And yeah, and I use it for all my practice and also all of my Patreon classes. So it's pretty good. So that is what will be sent to you. So make sure that your address is up to date, and then yeah, I'll go ahead and send that out. All right, we are ready to get painting. Let me go ahead and get all my paints actually out of the bottles. That'll be helpful instead of still in the bottle. For the background, we're going to be using mostly white and yellow. And then for the trees, there's like the kind of the darker colors. And then let's see. Yeah, so we'll do some white, good amount of white, but remember that you can always put more on your palette. You can't really take it back, okay? Unless you have a wet palette and you can reuse that stuff, which I do not. I've been debating on whether or not to get it because I paint all the time, but I really like having a ceramic. I really like having a ceramic thing that's easy to clean. But I suppose if I had a wet palette and I wouldn't need to clean it, I would just have, I don't know. I'm undecided. Okay, so I have my white, my yellow. I'm using yellow medium, but really any yellow will do. It doesn't necessarily matter. If you only have the super vibrant yellow, you can add just a touch of orange or red to it to kind of tone it down, and or like a tiny bit of brown. So totally up to you. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, just switching some things around. So white, yellow, and then I'm gonna do some black. Oh, I need more black than that. I don't know. And then I'm also gonna put out a touch of green. I'm not totally sure of the colors on the left. I kind of want to just leave it up to my creativity when I get there. So I'm just going to put out a little bit of these other colors. They're all dark colors, so it's probably not going to matter much, at least on screen. but for me in real life, I'll be able to see it a little bit better. Okay, so if you've never painted with acrylics before, one thing you'll want to know when you are painting backgrounds is you'll need to move fairly quickly. Acrylics tends to dry very fast, so depending on your the quality of your paints and the material that you're painting on. What is in the background of the sound file? It's blurry on my screen. It is blurry. It's a tree. I'm pretty sure it's a tree. So it's just like a tree in the background. But yeah, so depending on the quality of your paints, it might dry faster. If you have like a liquid medium, then it might, you could get them to dry slower. So it's up to you if you have any of that you want to use. But typically, just right now, and what I'm using, you tend to have to go fast. If you're using a canvas paper that's canvas textured and not like actual canvas, it's going to dry even faster. So you just have to figure out what you're using and what's best for you in terms of your speed. And if any point down the road you need to pause it, you might be a little bit behind, but you can pause the live videos, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and draw in just very lightly. If you've never done it in pencil before, just do it very, 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 very lightly. And most of the time, I will actually just draw this in paint. So if you have, there's different things that you can use to draw. So you can use a pencil, you can paint it on, or you can do like a colored pencil that the lead won't like change the color on. So I'm actually, if you've already drawn it on, then that's totally fine. I think we might paint it on, which is something that I haven't done in a while because we've been using like pre-drawn things. So this is a technique that I like to use because then you can just paint over it after it dries and it doesn't really affect anything. So I'm going to go ahead and grab just a tiny bit of yellow. Because a lot of this is very bright, I want to use a color that can blend into the background quite well. I'm going to use a color that's slightly darker than what you might use so that you can see it on screen. If you want to use something that's lighter, then do that. So I'm using yellow and a little bit of white and a little bit of water. We're just going to go ahead and quickly just draw in where we want things. Everything in the background is fairly blurry, so those lines don't necessarily matter. But let's see. We have, move this over here. So the half of the screen, so there's half of it. Just in looking at the I want to say proposition, the positioning, there we go, the positioning of the flower, it's pretty much all the way over into the right section of the canvas. So I'm just going to put like a little dot here, and I'm just going to just very gently go around in a circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. We can always make adjustments. That's the cool thing about like drawing it with your, can you guys see that? Can you see it? Okay. Are you using acrylics? Yes, I'm using acrylics. I tried to sign up for Patreon to get the traceable, had nothing but problems. Hey Mike, can you help her in chat and see? Let me know what went wrong, and we'll see if my husband can help you. If you don't sign up for a tier, you might not see some of the rewards that you signed up for, if that makes sense. So there's some of the rewards are like available to all patrons regardless of a tier, and then but if you're wanting to go into a tier, then you have to like be in that specific tier. I hope that makes sense. Probably not, but that's okay. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this. Again, just make it as light as you want it to be. So then you can do another circle around that to give a border. We're going to be going, most of this is white, so it doesn't necessarily matter. If the background was going to be very dark, then I would want to kind of draw it out a little bit more so that I avoid that. The other option is that if you are doing a dark background, which we're not right now, but just tips for future, if you're doing a dark background and you want to paint something light, like a very bright, colorful flower, such as a yellow flower, paint it in white first, and then put your color on top, and it'll make it a lot more vibrant. So then we're just going to go from the middle, from that middle dot, we're just going to do a slightly crooked line. And this is just to give us a guide. It's not supposed to be perfect, just giving us a guide as to where things are. So then the tree in the background is pretty much this whole section. It goes all the way up to the corner. And this is how we'll know we can start changing our colors from the white into the kind of bright yellow that ends up becoming the dark colors. And I kind of just went up and down. It doesn't really matter. It's just a guide. And this comes all the way down here. Now the only other thing that we'll need to do is there's two layers down below. That's kind of the very back, the back end of the mountains. It's kind of about here. And then there's a little line right below it that's darker. It's probably some closer trees. Okay, so essentially you have like 3 or 4 lines. You have the flower, and we'll add the petals when we get there. We don't need to do that right now. And if you already drew them in, then that's fine. You can follow that when we go over it. You have it could be a large bush, but I'm pretty sure it's a large tree in the back. And then mountain, trees that are like further away. Okay? Alright. That should be okay. So let me know that everybody's got at least that portion down, and then we'll kind of give me a thumbs up. We're going to go ahead for around your sunflower. We're just going to start with white. Okay. Okay, getting some good. Okay, awesome. All right, so you're going to grab some white, just pure white. Even though I had like a tiny bit of yellow in there, that's okay. You're going to go in with just your white, and this is really just to coat everything around it so that anything that we don't touch with our petal, it's still got paint under it. So I'm just going over with white, and if you drew it on, you should still be able to see the pencil marks if you do a thin layer of white. And even if not, the petals are pretty random, so I wouldn't worry too much. The traceable for this one is really just to get the overall aesthetic of everything. Okay, so after you get your white kind of all the way around, white goes all the way up until this part, the first kind of layer. And we're going to go down first, and then we'll come back up. Is there a way to turn off your comments? There is. You can, I don't know exactly what button it is, but if somebody's on their phone and can help, I don't know where exactly it is. I think you have to press the 3 buttons or the settings wheel or whatever and turn off comments. I don't remember which it is. I haven't done in a while. So once you get your white all the way down to that first line, you're going to go in with your yellow and blend it. So then there's kind of this like really, really like blended yellow line. And we're going to make this kind of peachy color real quick with a little bit of white, a little bit of yellow, and maybe like the tiniest bit of brown. Kind of like a golden. So then we're going to put that here. I almost think I want it a little bit darker. Kind of grayer a little bit. It's okay if it's not perfect. And you can make subtle mountains if you want to. Just with your just with like the tip of your brush if you want to. But it's okay if you don't want to do that. I'm just kind of wiggling my brush, making a line. So you guys can see that better. Alright. So once you're done with that, again, we're going to do this while it's still wet. Part of the background being fuzzy is that it's all kind of blending into each other. So that's why we're kind of moving a little bit faster. And if you have a side of the canvas, don't forget to paint the side of it. Which I always forget that side, so I'm surprised that I remembered. Alright, so then you're going to grab your brown or your black. I think I'm going to do black. Maybe with a touch of brown, just so it's not pitch black. I'm just blending tiniest bit of black. And then I'm going to, first it's got this line. Don't worry about that first. I'm just painting the bottom here. I'm going to paint the top. I mean the side of it. Alright. So after I did that, I'm going to take a smaller brush. Let's say, I'll do a round brush. Maybe I think in the kit this is a 6, so it's like a medium round brush. I'm going to zoom out. And I'm going to take some black, and in this wetness, I'm just going to push my brush up. See how I'm kind of going against the grain and it's like mixing in? You can use a little bit of water to help you mix it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a tad bit of water with a bigger brush. And I'm just going to blend it just ever so slightly. And you can dab it. You can go side to side. I'm using, it's mostly black, but it does have like a slight brown in it. And we're just going to hint at some trees back here. Again, this is the background, so it doesn't need to like have a lot of detail, because the more detail you bring to it, the more attention you're going to bring to it. I'm just going to use this kind of bigger brush to dab a little bit of this on here to suggest that there's like a forest back here. Hello everyone, for everyone who's just joining us. All right. I think I like that. And you'll notice that it doesn't look exactly like the picture. That's okay. If you work too hard to try to make it look exactly like the picture, you're just going to get frustrated. I like this. I like that it looks kind of like a distance forest. It's not as blurry as I could get it, but I think that's fine. I like it, and that's really what matters, is that you like it and you like what you're painting. What color? What color is this? I have a yellow, and then I kind of added a little bit of brown to this here, and then I added black. There was like a tiny bit of brown in it, but I'm pretty much mostly used black to get those dark colors. And I used a combination of getting my brush wet and blending it, and using this older brush to dab. I didn't dab too high because I didn't want to add too much detail. And the more detail you add at the top, the less blended it's going to get. Just doing a little bit of blending. And we're not going to spend too much time on the background because we want all of our attention to detail to really be in the focal point of the painting, which is the sunflower, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and go back to, now that we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and go back to my bigger brush. I'm going to adjust the camera because I made it a little bit more zoomed in. I'm going to rinse it out because we're going to go back to white. So I want to make sure that it's really, really well rinsed. Okay, so now that I have it rinsed and not really anything's coming out, I know that I don't have any more paint in there, which is good. I'm going to go back into my white, but I do want to wait just maybe a minute or so for everyone to kind of finish this lower part. So give me a thumbs up if you're ready to move on, if you're ready to go, and we can move on to the rest. So essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to take this white that we had, reapply it up here a little bit, and start to move it this direction. And we're going to do the tree in 2 sections. We're going to fade it just like we faded into like this yellow area, which I feel like I was really good at blending and then I like messed it up a little bit. Alright, I like that better. Okay, sorry, my brain, pregnancy brain. We're going to do it in 2 sections. One is we're going to do the white, and you notice that there is yellow behind this because it's the color of the tree that is getting sun on it. It's really bright, but it's blurry, so it's kind of you can like see through it and stuff. And if you look, you'll see a bunch of little circles, which I'm going to be using my little dauber for. But you can do it. I'll show you how to do it without a dauber, and other things that you can do. How did you blend? Blend what? How did I blend what? Just in general. I did a wet on wet, which is probably the easiest way to blend something. Right here, I did to fix the blended part that wasn't really blended right here. I knew that it was white going into yellow, so I just took some white and blended it down and just very lightly blended over the parts that weren't blended. Yeah, what I just did, I had a part that wasn't blended, like the yellow, there was like a stripe of yellow, so I just kind of put white on it and then blended it down very gently until I liked it. So that was a wet on dry technique. But most of this other stuff is we're doing mostly wet on wet. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on. About 40 minutes in, we still have the whole tree to do, and then the rest of the sunflower. Okay, so like I said before, we're going to go ahead and go into our white. I'm just going to reapply because I don't think I went to the corner or painted this side. And if you're painting it pure white on the sides, like, you don't necessarily have to paint it. I'm just a stickler for making a work of art complete. And like, as you can see, like all of my paintings up there, the canvases are wrapped, which is what it's called when you wrap the canvas with paint. You go all the way around the sides. I just think it looks more complete, and you don't have to frame it in order to have like a finished piece, in my opinion. You can have your own opinion, that's fine. I know a lot of people who don't paint the whole thing, that's fine. Or if you're using like a canvas board, then you don't even have to worry about it. Okay, so all of this is white. I'm going to reapply white down here, even though I was just working there, so that I can blend in. I can blend it in. Okay, so I'm at the line that I created earlier. So at this point, I'm just going to start adding in a little bit of yellow. And there's a couple ways that you can blend. You can just put the yellow down, and then you can get white on your brush and blend it out. You can blend in quick motions of side to side, that line, while it's still wet. May I remind you, it's still wet. You can go in with your white I'm barely touching the canvas at this point. Now I'm going to blend the yellow on light yellow line. And then just for kicks, I'm just going to wash the rest of this. I know there's going to be kind of colors over here that are going to peek through. But you don't need to do this whole piece. It's really just this area. And don't forget the top. Alright. So, let's see. I'm going to take my black, a little bit of blue, some brown, and a touch of green to create just a really dark color. It's not quite black. I feel like it has more substance. And I'm just darkening up this area. It's not, you don't need to do this. I have some parts of my canvas that we're showing through. I need more black. So, like, almost half of this canvas is going to be black. And you can do it in just black. For me, I like adding other colors to it so that it's not just all black, if that makes sense. Like, it's still going to be a really dark color, but so it looks black, but it's got like a touch of like a green tint to it. Alright, so now we're going to go up. We're going to move up from the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and do my sides first, because I know I'm going to have to do that anyways. Might as well do it now. Alright. The corner of this I do want to be black, because I really want it to be very dark. So it's like kind of like this tree right here. So all that's going to be just dark. But again, you don't have to do it exactly like the picture. You can always choose something different. And then we're just going to go from there, and we're going to add our tree. And I'm going to add just bits and pieces. I'm really just focusing on like the outer edge and then making it whimsical. Don't put too much, you know, attention on it. This is going to come back in, it's going to go back out. Now, if you wanted to fill this whole thing in black and then add some yellow later, you could. If you wanted to add like little bits of like little pieces that were coming through, you could also do that. I'm going to show you how to use the technique that essentially the dauber would do instead, which is why I really just focused on that outer edge. I just made it whimsical. We're just going to cover the rest of this in. So right now, because you can see the the detail of it, it looks really close. I don't know if you can see that, but it looks pretty close because you can really see all the edges. But we're gonna fix that. The first thing you can do is you can grab a dry brush or just like a round brush, get it wet, and then wipe it off a little bit just so it's damp. And you can move back and forth against that line, and you can like kind of fuzzy it out. Okay, that's like the first step that we're gonna do. If once you get too much paint on your brush and it starts kind of you're starting to paint with it a little bit, rinse it out. And rinse it out, dry it off. What color am I doing right now? I'm not doing a color. I am taking a clean, dry brush, and I am fuzzying the outer edge of the tree, just so that's not a harsh line. And you can even use this technique to take off some of the paint, which it comes in 3 steps. You get it wet, you move it, and then you remove it. Good morning. It's good evening for me here. So ways that you can do that is you rinse out the brush so it's wet. I kind of roll it, and then I'm going to take that brush and I'm just going to take off the paint that I was just put on there. And you can do that in other places other than the edge. So that's one way that you can create some distance. You can do it literally in the middle of the tree. You'll see this is going to start kind of looking like there's something behind it, like you can see through the tree. Which is why we painted yellow behind it, and it's not just you know, clean white. And you're really just taking off the paint. So that's one way that you can texturize. That's one way that you can texturize it. You can really do that as much as you need to really have all those edges blended as much as you want, or as much as you feel like it's necessary. Where am I located? I'm in San Diego. But it's nighttime here. Well, sort of. It's almost 5. The other way that you can create some distance, yeah, right? Yeah, it makes it look a little out of focus. It's really just blurring those lines. So anytime you want something to look further away, you gotta make it blurry, and you gotta get rid of those harsh lines. I can even like bring some of this color out a little bit. Yeah. The other option is if you have a dauber, you can have some fun with it. So I have some yellow here, and I want it pretty bright. I think I'm going to get just the tiniest bit of orange. Which I haven't opened yet, so trying to open it. I haven't used all the colors in this kit yet, so. Okay, so I'm just going to touch of orange. Ooh, that's a lot brighter than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to mix that with the yellow and the white. It just makes the yellow a bit warmer, and I need a bit more white. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm already running out of white in this in this little tube. I use white all the time. I use white for everything. Okay. Let's see. And you can do this. So depending on what look you want to go for, you could just do what you've been doing. Or if you wanted to get more of that like out of focus type, like just a little bit, it's a little bit different. I wouldn't say it's better or worse, it's just different. As you can see, it's just like it's a little bit of a different take on it. All right, who is this person? So yeah, it's just a different take on it. I'm just going to add a little bit more. And I tried to mix it by itself with the orange and show the dauber. Yeah, so this is called a dauber. It's a sponge dauber. Well, this looks so cool. It looks like the focus is really on here and everything out of focus is back here. But it's really not that much out of focus. It's just, that looks cool. Okay. Yeah, so this is called a sponge dauber. I believe I have a link below. If not, I'll add it. But it's, again, you can also, if you wanted to, you could buy them and then add this technique later too. Like if you ended up wanting to add it. It's a really simple, like if you don't have sponge daubers, I use them pretty frequently for just random things. Maybe I should have put it in the description or whatever, or in the things. I wasn't totally sure if I was going to use it, so I didn't. I didn't want to have people buy it and then me not use it, you know. But I think it does add a really cool effect to it. And I think it just helps the overall like blurriness of it. And if you've been here this long and you're not subscribed or haven't liked the video, it really does help just grow the channel, and it helps other people find me and join along too. So if you haven't subscribed or liked, feel free to do that. And some finger ones for ink. Oh yeah, that'd probably work too. Yeah, but I literally could probably work on this, like just this part, for way too long. I gotta stop somewhere. So I'm gonna keep working on this until you guys say, hey, let's move on. Okay? Because I can't see what you're doing and I don't know where you're at with everything. So let me know if you're done with that portion. Okay? Or this portion, I should say. Okay. No, I think I need to get some new sponge daubers. The only ones that I could find were the ones that my son was using for water painting, which he just does on like the concrete outside our place. So this is like, this is like tearing apart. But you know what? This is the only part that I care about, and it's working fine. I think I have a bag of them around here somewhere. I just don't remember where they are. I moved around a bunch of stuff back here, so things were like, I feel like they were all over the house for a little bit there. All right. I came in late. I just now saw this. That's okay. If you want to wait until the live class is over, you can most definitely do that. Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, if you want to wait until the live class is over, you can totally do that. And then you can just watch it from the beginning, or you can kind of try to catch up, or however you want to do it. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on. At this point, make sure that all your brushes are kind of are all out, or all rinsed out. There we go. That's out. Brain. I'm just going to blame it on pregnancy brain, okay? Just pregnancy brain. Okay, so now we get to put in some of our key components of our flower, which is our stem, our leaves, this little like weed twig thingy. Actually, no, I don't think it's isn't it part of, pretty sure it's part of like the plant, and it's not just a random weed. But, you know, I'm just going to call it a random weed to distinguish from the flower and the stem and the leaves. So we get to make our green now. So I'm going to grab a small brush. If you have a palette knife, you could use a palette knife to mix your colors too. Just a note, if you did use a sponge dauber, anything related to sponging, make sure that you rinse it out pretty well. Because if it does dry in the time that we're here, you're never getting that paint out. This is like, there's like white around here because I used it for a paint night and I forgot to like actually wash it out. So don't forget to wash out your sponges. They'll last you forever. Maybe not forever, but okay. Yeah, so grab your small brush. We're gonna go ahead and make our green. So this green it's fairly light, but it's not this bright. This is a very, very bright green. So we're going to tone down the colors. So we can do that by adding a little bit of white. We can do that by adding a little bit of brown. And so I'm just going to start with that and see where it takes me. I do want a good amount of this green so that I don't have to like remix it. So, oops, that was a lot that came out. Guys, you can always put more on your canvas, or more on your palette. You can't put it back. That was an accident. All right, but I'm going to take some of this because I don't need all of that. So I'm going to add brown to it and see. So the brown cuts through the brightness of the bright like neonness of this green, and it makes it a little bit more earthy. Makes sense. It's brown. What is it is a wheat stem. All right, good to know. I'll just say the wheat. It did look like wheat. I was thinking that, but I didn't know. I don't want to call it a wheat. I don't want to call it wheat if it wasn't wheat. But okay, so that cut a little bit of the green. I think I'm still going to add a little bit more brown. Because it's not quite there yet. And you guys can see what I'm doing, right? You guys can see my palette a little bit. Okay. Okay, I'm going to move on. Can always come back and add more to the tree. Yeah, most of the tree isn't covered. So that's, you know, that's a perk of being able to come back to it. All right, so I just added a good amount of brown to this. I had a good amount of green. Now it's a really pretty earthy tone. So I have the right shade now, but I want to take some of the color out of it. So I'm going to add just a little bit of white to it to kind of lighten it up. If I added yellow, it would brighten it up. Adding white lightens it up. because adding a color will kind of keep the color in it. If you add white, it kind of tones down the color and it grays it out. This is still pretty dark. Okay, I do like this. There are going to be elements of here that we add some yellow in because there is such a brightness that's coming from behind. But if this is our base, I think that's okay. Might still be too bright. I will find out soon. Let's see. Using my liner brush later. I'm going to grab my small filbert brush. Looks like this. Man, I keep wanting to cross my legs, and then my bump is like getting in the way a little bit, and I can't cross my legs. I'm so sad. That's okay. Okay. So we're going to first, let's go ahead and draw a little bit of this in. And I know if you already drew this in, you might still be able to see all those leaves. You might not be able to see the stem, but you should be, the wheat stem, but you might, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to see everything else because it was just green that we went over. I mean, it was just white that we went over it. So I'm going to grab a little bit more of this yellowish color, just kind of whatever color is here, yellowish white, and I'm going to draw in the stem. Just so I'm not flying solo in terms of mine, because sometimes if you put it in there with the color that you're using and you accidentally make it too thick or too big, or you know, it's in the wrong placement, it's a lot easier to fix something that's like a line versus like an entire leaf, if that makes sense. Which colors we can mix? Are you saying which colors are the green that I mixed? For the green I had that bright green that I wanted to tone down. The bright green I mixed brown, good amount of brown, to tone back that brightness of the green color, and then to tone down like the color of it. I also added white to make it a little bit more palish. Okay, let me get a bit more of this color. We have one coming out here. There's one, and then the other one is happily sitting right here. So you're gonna do like for the one down here, you're gonna do essentially look at it as if it was a heart, and the point starts just at the base. One of it comes over. One of it loops over the stem part, and the other one is a bit bigger and comes that direction. And then there's another leaf that comes from the other side. I'm going to make this just a tad bit bigger. See, this is what I'm saying. So I did that, and I looked at the whole composition, and I'm looking at the leaf that's coming over here, and it's like, I think this is a little bit bigger. So now I get to, without doing the leaf and then trying to do it over again, I can look at just my lines and see, oh, I think I need this to be a little bit bigger. So now I'm going based off of the bigger leaf. Now I can come back over here, and there's like this bigger leaf that kind of starts over here and kisses this other leaf. Probably from something that's from off the screen. You can't see it. And then go ahead and do this one over here, which I'm really just going to do an up and over, up and kind of curve to the left. And I might even start at the curve so I know where I'm going to end. There we go. There we go. So I just have that really basic in there. I'm going to go ahead and, oh, there's one more out to the side. So this comes out. It comes out pretty much where this line is. So this line's right there, the circle, and it comes out pretty much there. Okay. All right. So we're going to do the green first, and then we're going to figure out where our the rest of our petals are, and we're going to go from there, okay? We have about 15 minutes to finish this flower. Let's get going. So the first step for this is really just to cover the whole thing in that green. You're just going to start wherever you want to start. I just have this base color of green. And then we'll kind of add some details on it after. For this stem, start small, start with just your line, and you can always make it thicker. And if it's uncomfortable to paint a certain direction, you can always turn it sideways and paint it that way. Don't forget the bottom. All right. A couple more of these. Hello. Everyone's saying hi. So for some of the leaves up here, you can add some so that they're not just like flat. You can add some like little ridges and stuff, just depending on how you're seeing the because we're kind of seeing it at an edge. So you can give it a little bit more texture if you wanted to. You're welcome. All right, so I've got most of this green. I'm gonna do just the very basic green that is on the wheatgrass, or is that what it's called? The wheat stem. And then I'm gonna lighten up this green a fairly good amount. Oh, I'm also gonna do the whatchamacallit, the little leaf that's right here, which I'm just going to go bloop. All right. So I just did that real fast. I'm debating on whether or not to put in the other little, like, thistles and stuff from the other side. Not thistles. Little bits and bobs from like the other. I'm sure there's another sunflower right next to it. Debating on whether or not I want to put it in, or just have this the focus. And I don't know. Let me know what you're doing. Let me know if you're putting in the pieces on the edge, or if you're not, or if you're leaving it out. Let me know. Until then, I'm going to lighten up significantly my green. Okay, so that means I'm going to put white in it. I'm going to put yellow in it. Bye, Jennifer. Yeah, if you guys need to leave and come back, I will not be offended. But make sure you come back and finish your painting. And for anyone who doesn't know, I do have an artist community on Facebook. It's just facebook.com/groups/SamanthaAndersonArtist. And you can just join that, and you can post your artwork. So you can share. You can share with everybody else who is in this class. And it's a lot of fun to be able to see everybody's. So I'm just going to add a ton of this yellow to this green to lighten it up. I'm going to add yellow, and I'm going to add a lot of this white. And I think I'm going to switch to a palette knife because there's a lot of paint in my brush now. Alright, I think this is more of the color that I want. Just going to wipe off my palette knife. Rinse out my brush because it's got a bunch of different colors in it right now. And we are going to grab some of this. So I'm going to focus mainly on where all of the light colors, are. So right where this part is, it's a little bit darker there. So I'm going to kind of just focus on the lighter parts. I'm going to thin it out a little bit just with some water. And now I'm going to be focusing on the texture of the leaves. So which way they grow, where all of their like little lines are, and just kind of get a feel for all of that. And the painting's really going to be brought to life when you start adding these little sun, like, I don't want to say sun flares, but like the sun, like where the parts of the plant are catching the sun, like pretty much all the edges, like it's going to pop so much when we start adding that. So don't be too worried if like the lines that you're drawing or whatever aren't necessarily like the outer edges aren't perfect, because we can fix a lot of the things that are happening there with these with those lines. Alright, have a good night, everyone. I know in some spots it's really late for some people. If you ever get to a spot where you accidentally touch the canvas, in a spot that you didn't want, just take a clean brush with a little bit of water and just rub it out. I mean, theoretically that was black. I could have just gone over it with black, but I figured I would have it as a teaching moment. I think I really overestimated how bright everything is, or underestimated how bright everything is. Almost done. Are we almost done? Typically classes go for about 2 hours, so we still have about a half an hour left. I'm just kind of brightening stuff up, layer by layer. I added a little bit more yellow to this layer. I'm not covering up all the darkness, because I kind of want that texture to be in there. But anywhere where a leaf is thin, it's going to be lighter. So near the edges, at the point, anything like that. So I just added a little bit of a darker shade right here to give the illusion that there's a shadow. And then you can always make a darker green to give a little bit more of a shadow down here, which there is one. But I have alright. So I'm gonna do one more lightening for this one over here, because it is bright. Alright, so we're pretty much done with the greens. We can always add more details to them, which we will add some lines here and there, but they need to be a little bit drier than right now. So we're gonna move on to the sunflower. So go ahead and get we're gonna do the outer edge first. And then we're going to do the middle once we kind of have our outer edge. And there's a couple ways to do this. You can do a palette knife if you wanted to, and you wanted that texture. I think that would look really, really cool. So that's up to you. We're going to go ahead and just do our, our filbert. The sunflower looks like a photo. It is a photo. We're painting from a photo. We're using this photo as a inspiration to our lovely little flowers. So I'm going to take this. I should have just put this over here. Okay, I'm going to take my filbert, and I'm going to draw in like that. The further you go out, you can come back in. So I'm going to do a couple. So I'm going to start one direction. Here, I'll go this way. I'm going to start this way. I'm going to put a little bit more pressure, a little bit of turn. Take that pressure off and then turn it back. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm doing that. Does that make sense? You can do it with a smaller brush. I tend to like to use the bigger brushes because you can get more done, like it's really fast. But if you're not used to it, then you don't have to. All of these are going to be overlapping, okay? And they're all different sizes. They're all kind of going different directions. I would just say to try to make them roughly all the same length in terms of like the like everything as a whole. And you're just going to go all the way around. And don't worry about this. Once we go over it and figure out where our petals are lying, we're going to make it cover it. Now we're just going to fill in the rest of this with our yellow. I'm going to make any adjustments that I need. So I feel like there's a few out here that I want to, go out further. And I'm going to take just a little bit of white and go over the spots where there's any green. It's okay if it mixes into the yellow. We're just trying to make it more opaque so we can cover it up. Really liked this, but I covered up most of it and now I can't decide. So this should have been lower, which is I'm now realizing. I think I like it too much to cover it up, so I'm going to, instead of covering up with white, I'm just going to put green over it, which will be moving it in front of. So I'm putting this leaf in front of my flower. My goodness, words today. All right. Hopefully you're still with me. All right, so while that dries, we are going to add a little bit more detail to our green. I'm going to take a liner brush. If you do not have a liner brush, then just get whatever brush you can get really thin, so like round, or sometimes even a filbert brush. This brush I can get really, really thin. I'll show you. Actually, I can't show you with white, silly me. If you look on that, I can get really, really thin lines with this brush, which is one of the reasons why I like it so much. But just get whatever brush that you can get really thin lines. We're going to go ahead and put in our little wheat thingamabobbers. So first things first is I'm going to grab a bigger brush. Sorry, jumping around. Bigger brush first, and then we're going to do our lining. Grab some green. I'm just going to so the wheat has like this texture to it where it's kind of a back and forth. It almost looks like a braid. So you can do like a line and then go back and forth and give it some texture so it's not just one straight line. I'm just going to put in all my lines first and then I'm going to bring texture to them. I'll show you with one of these what exactly I'm doing. I do like a line, and then I'm going to do like a 1, and then I just go back and forth on each side. It kind of looks like a little braid. A couple more here. Alright, so I got that. A lot of the detail that's within the wheatgrass is going to come with our liner brush, and putting in all those little, like again, I want to say sun rays, but it's not, just like the sun, the reflection on it, that is the sun. Alright, so I'm going to get my liner brush, and I'm going to grab, the first thing we're going to do is mix in some green and white, and just add some different texture and lines to the leaves. You can do this with a smaller brush too. Just some different, you can go crazy on this. Just all the little leaf textures. And then for the surrounding, we're going to go ahead and add the little line that is around the greenery. You're essentially going to like outline everywhere where there's not a shadow. And it's a small detail, but it really does make the whole thing pop and really say, I'm in the sun. Let me know if anybody has any questions up till now. At this point, so how we're going to, no, I won't put in the little details from the other plant. It would be a distraction. Yeah, you don't have to, if you don't want to. For the ones who are, it's really just doing a bunch of little lines. Little furry lines. Fuzzy lines. I'm doing mine a little bit more toned down so that it doesn't take away, but it still makes sense for the eye because it's still gonna have those light colors. But I am toning mine down a little bit. I did a very pale yellow. If you wanted to stand out more, I would suggest doing more of a white, or maybe do a pale yellow to start with, and then you can add white in spots. But if you want it just a little bit more toned down so that it doesn't take away from, you know, the sunflower, I would just stick with the pale yellow, or like the very light what the light yellow. I think it's technically pale white, but all right. We're going to go ahead and do more for our, you can always come back to this and add more details to it, but we're going to go ahead and move on back to our sunflower, which the first thing I'm going to do is paint another coat of white on where the green is. Go over that very gently with some yellow. And I'm going to focus on the middle here, or not the middle, but the, we're going to make a dark color, like a darker yellow. And that's going to be yellow, a tiny bit of brown, and a touch of green. And I added a bit too much green, so I'm going back in with my yellow. Essentially, you want something just like a shade darker than what we put on there. And I'll show you what we're going to do. Everywhere where a petal is crossing, can you show the leaves up close? The leaves of the sunflower. This is what I have. Just a little bit of detail. I could go crazy and spend a very long time drawing every single line that I see in the picture, which if you want to do that, you totally can. But just for the sake of the class, we have 5 minutes left, and we really do need to focus on the sunflower. So I'm not personally going to do it. I could come back to it and do that if I, if I wanted to pursue the piece. But okay, so anywhere where you are not putting everything, where anything is crossing over itself, you're going to do this. So let's see. So anywhere where there's a crossover, let me just So I think I need to go a little bit darker, maybe. can't decide. Give me a second. I think you need to add a tiny bit of black to it. So for anything meets, like where there's a point, or like an inverse, like a V, I'm going to start there and bring it down. You see how now it looks like there's shadows? Alright. So there we go. I'm just going to add one shade darker. And just add some lines going outward. I added just the tiniest bit of brown. I'm just going to brush outward, just to add to some of the texture. There we go. And then I'm going to fill in the circle. And when you're doing the middle of it, I would just start small. And you can always make it bigger. See how I'm doing it and then I'm kind of finishing the circle and then deciding that, oh, it needs to be bigger. So then I go and make it bigger. And then again, it needs to be a little bit bigger. So then I go make it bigger. But it's like little baby steps versus right off the bat making it too big. Another thing you can do to give to give it texture is to take that medium dark tone that we first initial and go on the very tips, and it does get just the slightest bit darker at the very tips of each petal. Maybe I'm creating my style. Hey, honestly, abstract is really hard for some people to do. So if you can do abstract, I say go for it. Own your style. I don't really know what my style is. I've been painting for a long time and I still don't know what it is. I just paint. More funky or whimsical anyway. As long as you enjoy painting, you enjoy the process, like I see no problem with that. This is lovely though. I've only been washing tonight. Can't wait to grab paints and try again tomorrow. Try tomorrow. Yeah, for sure. It will be up for forever. I don't take them down. So honestly, whenever I feel like time goes really slow in the beginning, and then I start painting, and then it just time goes away. I forget what time it is. For what I was just doing, I was just using that medium color that I was initially using to bring in some of those shadows. I was just giving some texture to the outer edge of the sunflower. It also helps give sunflowers have these two lines in them sometimes. And not to everyone, but just to add some of those lines in there. Just helps it give a little bit of texture. And because my flower is behind this front, I decided to put it in behind this one. I'm going to darken up this a little bit just because it wouldn't be as bright because it's in the shadow. So, you're welcome. Yeah, and for anyone who's leaving, don't forget that I have an artist community, so you can share all your work. I will create an album after the class. I will create an album where you can add your paintings, and yeah, and then they'll all be in the same space, and other people can look at them and awe at your work. And feel like they joined into the class. I know that that's fun. Okay, we only have a couple things left to do, other than sign our name. I'm just going to give some details there. Let's see, where else would I need detail? I'm going to put a little bit of detail, some shadow, right where this whatchamacallit is. Right where this petal is on the stem. Let's see. I think the last thing to do is I'm going to get my old brush. I'm going to get that brown color, and I'm going to pull in from the outer edge of this, and I'm dabbing it, which means I'm going up and down up against the palette to separate all those lines, and that's going to separate the bristles. There's other brushes that do the same effect, but I don't have it right now. And it's kind of fun to share this technique in case you don't have one of those. You're going to rinse it out, and then you're going to take some yellow, so just some pure yellow, again with a brush that you can separate everything with. I just use this is just an older brush. I'm a little bit more rough with it so that it does, it also helps to dry it off more. Mine's not very dry. I'm going to get just some yellow. And you're going to just dot. Dot and come off. I'm going to get this darker yellow color and do it on the inside. Bye. Have a great night. And there you go. That's pretty much it. I would say just to make sure that it's darker on the inside. It typically gets darker as you move to the inside. And that's pretty much it. Alright, I'm going to head off now. I'm pretty much done. I'm going to go ahead and sign it real fast. While I do that, if anybody ever wants to give a tip or anything like that, I greatly appreciate it. The tip information is next to me. I also have a Patreon. I've been talking about that for a while. You get tips and perks with that, and it starts at $5. You can give any amount, but in order to get like the tips and stuff like that, just it starts at $5, which is essentially just like a normal tip. So you can do that, and that really does help support the channel. But also just make sure that you like and you can share and all that other stuff. You guys know the drill. Let's see. Would you go back and add some yellow orange to the top of the tree sky area? Yeah, if I would have looked at it a little bit harder, there is a little bit more of an orange. If you wanted to, you could do a wash, which is essentially you just thin out whatever color you're using. So for instance here, I'll do it for you right now. So I'm gonna grab this, just the bigger brush that I was using. Make sure that it's, ooh, I almost spilled my water. Make sure that it's all rinsed out. And I'm just going to get some of this yellow, a touch of the orange. And a good, like just some water so that it's not too potent. And you can just go over this area. Like this. I could probably use a little bit more orange now that I'm looking at it. Honestly, I would probably do like a burnt sienna wash, because it's got more of those like brown, like burnt orange browns in it. But that did kind of like darken it up a little bit. So it's up to you. You can really do whatever you want. But if you wanted to do a wash, that's how you do it. I'm gonna sign over here. All right. Well, thank you all for joining me. I hope you have a lovely night. I hope you have a great rest of your night. If you want to share your artwork with me, head on over to Facebook and just look up Samantha Anderson Artist under like the groups tab. It'll come up. And yeah, just join there, share your artwork, and I would love to see it. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a lovely night, guys. Bye.